And the interesting thing is all these symptoms all cause this spiralling effect if you are over-exercising, and if you're particularly doing too much cardio, and you're getting weight gain, and you're getting depression, and you're picking up bugs, and you're getting weight gain, and you're getting depression. It's almost this, each of those symptoms themselves starts to exacerbate the other symptoms. And if you're getting just little bits, it's going to be an incredibly dismal place to be. As your weight goes up, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're catching bugs, but your weight's going up. So you can see how people get into a really dark place trying to do the right thing by their body in exercising, simply because they're overdoing it. So welcome back to The Peaks Life, little bite-sized chunks of wellness wisdom to power you through your day. My name's Mike Warren and you are Lynn Fernie.
I am.
And today we're talking about the fallacies around fat loss and cardio. Because a lot of people who...
We all love a good fallacy.
We love a good fallacy. The old fallacy word is always a challenge. But a lot of people actually do have some misconceptions around how much cardio they should do, especially if they're trying to lose weight or improve their fitness and things. So I think it's important to discuss what is the optimum amount, because sometimes people go like a bull at a gate when it comes to losing weight and getting into shape, and more is not always better, is it?
True. More is not always better. More can be good, but sometimes more can be actually quite bad. Not just not better, it can be actually quite damaging.
Interesting. So we need to iron that out, because there's a lot of people out there who are going through the journey, and a lot of people who are starting out on their wellness journey, and they're probably just starting to figure out what sort of movement or exercise they're doing, and they need to be aware of what is the right amount to optimise their results.
I think a lot of people, they may not be exercisers, they may not be people who move their body, they may have quite a sedentary lifestyle, or they may have had injuries, or they may have had health issues, health conditions, or perhaps they're a bit older.
Okay.
And so, maybe they've not been used to having any kind of movement in their life or any kind of exercise programme. They've made a commitment to get healthy, which is a great thing. That's awesome. They're doing an amazing thing for their body, and they've had a look around, and what they've read up on is that they should do some good things for their diet. So they should eat healthier, and perhaps they're trying to lose weight or just generally improve their wellness, their energy levels, how they feel, how they look. So they're going to eat differently, and they're perhaps going to add some movement or exercise into their life.
Yes.
And they've read up, they've had a look, they might watch something on TV, they might see, models doing exercise, they might see something like CrossFit out there, and they also see the results that people get. So they read lots of success stories saying that, I did lots of cardio, I did lots of running, I did lots of cycling, I went on the treadmill, I went on the cross trainer.
Yes.
And so they hear stories, or they read stories, or they watch, YouTube, and the information out there is screaming at them, do lots of cardio and you'll lose weight. Do lots of cardio and you'll feel better.
Yes.
Do lots of cardio, your body will look better.
Yeah.
And especially people, for example, who perhaps they're not happy with their body. They may not be happy with their natural body shape, or they're trying to improve their body tone, body composition, or perhaps they've lost a lot of weight and, they've still got, unfortunately those skin folds, which are left often for a year or two after you lose weight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what they want to do is really target those, and they've read up that if I do some exercise, I can really start to improve that skin tone and maybe get rid of some of those stretch marks and things. So again, they're doing all the right things, but they dive in and perhaps they end up doing just a bit too much.
Yes. So what's the problem with doing too much? So to me, the logic is, if I'm going to start exercise and I'm going to do it once or twice a week and I'm going to get some results, then what's flawed about the logic of doing it 4 or 5 times a week, a little bit harder, a little bit faster? Why am I not going to get double the results?
And you might.
Okay.
You might. So there is no hard and fast rule that says, 3 times is the optimum.
Right.
Because everybody's different.
Absolutely.
And you've heard me say it before. You and take your 5 closest friends and line the 6 of you up together.
Yes.
You're all different. You're all a different size, shape, gender. You're a different age. Your ethnicity is different. Your eating patterns are different. Your sleep patterns are different. Your stress levels are different. Everybody's unique and different. And so what works for you might not work for me. You may be able to exercise 5 times a week, 6 times a week with no problem. I may only be able to exercise 3 times a week comfortably.
Right.
So the key is about finding your optimum level and finding what your body really enjoys, what works for your body, what's too much, what's too little, and just getting that balance right. And I think what happens is people often have the more is better mindset.
I do.
You do. You know, your belief in life, Mike, is that, you know, if something's good, then I do it double and I'll get double the benefit or more.
Yes, that makes sense to me, and I think a lot of people, you know, and I'm a learned colleague now, but I used to be silly in my younger days. Well, I used to be silly last week, but I do understand the principle of the optimum dose, you know, the right amount, and sometimes doubling that dose doesn't make it better and doesn't improve the performance. However, there's a lot of people, and I come from a fitness background, there's a lot of people who it's easy to understand why they think that if I can do 30 minutes at the gym twice a week, if I can do 60 minutes at the gym 4 times a week, why am I not losing more fat? Why am I not getting the results? It's a very easy mistake to make. What's the problem with overtraining or doing too much cardio? So where does the impact actually happen?
Yes, I think, you know, when you look at exercise, you know, the first thing to remember is there are a few truths around exercise. So before we get into saying don't do too much or what's overtraining, what are the important things? The first truth is that movement and exercise are good for you.
Yes.
So this is not a message to say stop what you're doing, right? So if you're moving your body, you're doing something amazing. So move your body as much as you can. And that means, you know, go for walks, get up, get out of your chair, stretch, do a few exercises. Just keep finding ways to move your body through the day. So movement is great.
And it's one of our peak's pillars of wellness. We advocate movement, we advocate selecting a movement you love. Choose something that you love to do that feels good, and that'll be a long-term sustainable movement and be part of your daily routine. So we're very passionate about getting people moving.
We are.
So that's one of the facts.
That's an absolute fact. And, you know, I can relate to that personally because I was in corporate life for many, many years.
Yes.
And I would sit at my desk and I would have a stream of people come through my office for 30-minute meetings, and that would start at 8 o'clock in the morning and it would finish at 6 o'clock at night.
Yes, just paying homage to you. And
maybe not paying homage, probably not paying homage actually. You know, more likely to bring poison than a gift. But, you know, I would literally have this stream of people coming through, and it would go on from morning till night. I might have a couple of quick toilet stops during that day, but I sat at my desk talking to people all day.
Yes.
The best I got was a walk down to a client's office a couple of times a week.
Or a toilet trip.
Like I said, toilet trips and walks to the client's office.
Which a lot of people can relate to, that being desk bound or stuck at uni or school or even at home.
Yep.
Their days are busy from start to finish, and there is no scheduled time to get up and go and move.
That's it. And, you know, it was the same when I travelled. So I did a lot of international travel, and I sat on long plane journeys, 15, 16, 17 hours at a time.
Yes.
You know, we see right now that, you know, Qantas have just done the first 20-hour plane trip. So people will be sitting on those planes for 20 hours.
Yes.
And it's very, very limited opportunity to move on a plane, especially if you've got turbulence and things. So travellers, you know, people who are frequently flying, they've got the same problem. So lots of people have a sedentary life and it's not easy to change it. So that's why we always encourage people, move as much as you can. It is generally good for you.
Yes.
So that is the first truth. The second truth is that, and sorry, I should say that, why do we say move? We keep saying it's good, but it's because it's got so many benefits.
Absolutely.
You know, it basically will help your cardiovascular system. It elevates your mood. It's good for your muscle and bones because you're doing weight-bearing exercise. It's great for your brain health, and it also helps you relax as long as you're not doing it right before bed. But generally, it's got lots and lots of benefits, and movement is awesome.
But you've got a however.
Well, no, I've got a second truth, actually.
Okay.
And the second truth is what we know is high-intensity exercise is also a good thing.
Okay.
High-intensity exercise and strength training are also really good. So we're not just saying slow-paced movement. We're not saying it's only yoga or qigong or walking. High-intensity, real hard exercise where you go hard and fast, whether you're sprinting 100 metres, whether you're doing a CrossFit class, you're doing an F45, doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing some real high intensity, maybe 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off for 10 minutes, you're really giving it 100% effort for a short burst. That high intensity exercise or the strength training, either with, you know, body weight or dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance machines, that's all really, really good for the body.
Yes.
So what we know again is it can give you better energy, more energy. It can give your brain a boost. It improves your body composition. So if you are trying to lose fat, not just weight, but you're trying to lose fat, it can improve your body composition. And it's just amazing for your overall fitness.
Good. Exercise is good. Movement is good. Get more of it.
Get more of it. Now I'll give you the however.
However, we've got to be mindful of what?
We've got to be mindful of basically going too far.
Okay.
All right. So when we exercise, what we're doing is we're putting stress onto the body.
Yes.
All right. So we are essentially putting a bit of stress onto the body. And what that's doing is it's making us stronger, makes us stronger mentally. It makes our body physically stronger, and it also makes our body more resilient. So what that means is that when we get under stress, whether it's doing the exercise or in our daily life,
yes,
when we become more resilient and we push the threshold, we can actually tolerate more stress on a regular basis. So we're sort of training our stress management to better manage daily stress as well as stress in the exercise program. So it's a good thing from that perspective. There's a good level of stress. It's a level of stress that we need. We need it for motivation. We need it for performance. And like I said, it makes us more resilient.
So who is at risk? What groups are at risk of doing the overtraining?
Well, hang on. So that's the good stress.
Okay.
Before we get into the overtraining.
Right.
So the problem comes. I know you're excited. You want to do more. The problem comes when people do too much of that.
Yes.
Because like I said, exercise is a stress. At the right level, it's a good stress and it improves that resilience. You do too much of it, you pile it on, you do more and more and more and more and more exercise. What you're doing is you're piling on layers of stress, and you reach that threshold, you go beyond the threshold, and the body goes, whoa, hang on a second, I can no longer cope with this, because you've ramped it up too far, too hard, too fast, and Bally's, I'm out now,
yes,
just can't do it anymore. And so you actually push the body to the point where it's at breaking point. And that happens especially if you've got stress in your life already. You're busy at work, you're a busy parent, you've got dramas in your life, you're getting divorced, you're moving house, you're sick.
It just adds to that stress.
You're adding on to that stress, and that's when people fall over.
And it's interesting because a lot of people use exercise as an escapism for the stress they may have in their life. So they're going through divorce, or they're having troubles at work, or they're having a stress anyway, and they'll go and exercise to get rid of that stress. But what you're suggesting is if they overdo it, they're just increasing the stress and therefore susceptible to some negativities.
That's it, exactly right. And what we know is that there are probably three groups of people that we want to speak to today who may be at risk of this overtraining. That's it.
If this is you, one of these three groups.
First
Group number one.
And you've already mentioned people who are perhaps having a lot of stress in their daily life.
Yes.
That's another category. But the first group I'm very interested in and I work with a lot is people who are transitioning into the keto lifestyle. So they perhaps have weight challenges, they may have a lot of weight to lose, they may want to improve their body composition, or they're doing it just to get healthy. And so, as I said right at the start, they're adopting a better eating pattern. They're going for a whole foods life. They're introducing keto foods and fasting, and they're introducing some movement and exercise exactly as we recommend. But because this is all a big change for them, and perhaps they're not used to exercising and they're not used to movement, they're just at risk of doing too much. So that's really the first group of people.
So a bunch of change and a bunch of enthusiasm sometimes can result in overdoing it.
And they get great results. So they start their food and fasting, they start their exercise program, they get an amazing result. Yeehaw, they celebrate the success. And then the temptation is to do exactly what you said.
Double it.
A bit is good, double it is going to be doubly better.
I can understand that.
And all of a sudden, their weight loss stalls. In fact, the scales often go up. They start to increase weight. Their belly fat increases, so they see that their clothes becoming tighter again instead of looser. They measure themselves that again their waistline is increasing, and so all of their amazing work over the first 1, 2, 3 months might suddenly be, virtually overnight undone, and they freak out because everything's going in the wrong direction. So that these people are very, very susceptible. We see a lot of people like this, and you'll either know somebody or this could be you.
Okay, that's group number one.
So the second group of people are the people who, and it sort of overlaps a bit, the people who are losing weight.
Yes.
So specifically, not just people who've transitioned into keto, but any kind of eating pattern, and they're trying to lose weight.
They're on a weight loss journey.
They're on a weight loss journey, and they've been told exercise is good for you.
Yes.
You won't lose weight until you exercise. So diet alone is not enough. And so that old model of diet hard and exercise hard, and so they get themselves probably on a low-fat eating plan, because that's the old style of thinking, and they get themselves onto a cardio program where they're told, get on the treadmill, get on the bike, get on the cross trainer, and do that 5 times a week for an hour. Get in that zone and literally burn fat by working hard. So that's the second group of people who are really susceptible, because they are given the instruction, more is better. You do more exercise, you'll lose more weight. And again, they fall into the same problem. They see the initial, weight loss, and then the weight it stalls, plateaus, or it starts to go up again. So they're again another group that is at risk of overtraining, because they're pushing harder and doing more.
Absolutely.
And then the third group is people who've got a disordered body image.
Okay.
So they may have disordered eating, or they're just generally very unhappy with their body. They could be thin, they could be overweight, but they're in that category. And women are susceptible, but men suffer this as well. So, we are pushed constantly the images of beautiful, pretty, slim models, and everybody has the impression they have to attain a body like that.
A lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure, and we're told that these models achieve these bodies by amazing exercise programs. They push themselves hard, they do high intensity, they have personal trainers, they exercise for hours and hours, and so people fall into the trap of, if I want to look like that, then I need to do exactly the same sort of exercise program. I need to do as much exercise as they do. And again, they dive in and they're pushing themselves harder, and it becomes extreme if somebody's right at the point of having perhaps anorexia. Then we know that anorexics will often exercise in excess to try and lose weight.
All right, so if you're transitioning into keto, or going through that initial stages of the keto lifestyle, or you're on a weight loss journey at any point, or you've got a body image that says you really need to improve your body and you really want to focus 100% on changing your body shape because it could be pressure or media or just your own belief, you're at risk of overtraining. And if we do overtrain, if we are in that category and we are susceptible to overtraining and we follow that through, what then happens? What are the implications of overtraining that could negatively affect the results we want to achieve?
And some of these might be quite surprising, actually. So I guess the first thing, there's probably four things to mention. The first one is that basically the neurotransmitters in the brain, so we're talking about the chemicals in the brain, those things that basically send the signals to tell us to be happy, to be sad, to be anxious, to feel all the emotions, that sort of thing. So those neurotransmitters, when we overtrain, we start to get to the point where they're causing depression and fatigue. So, not everybody's going to experience this, but if you're overtrained, you can actually start to feel quite low mood, quite down initially. So you might just not feel as happy and as sort of, pinging as you normally would when you come out of the gym. And you gradually just find yourself feeling a bit more down every day, to the point where people can suffer significant depression, significant anxiety and chronic fatigue.
So it's always the opposite of what you're looking to achieve. You're not getting the mood lift, you're not getting the happiness, you're getting the opposite effect.
That's it.
Quite significant,
And again, you find that people have gone into an exercise program initially, they've got all those feel-good hormones, a few endorphins, they're feeling happy, they walk away, and then after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, they feel like they've fallen off a cliff, and all of a sudden that happiness has turned into, the low mood, the depression, the sadness, the anxiety, having the emotional outbursts.
Wow.
So that's the first big category. So those mental issues, and people get quite surprised that this is related to cardio or high intensity exercise.
Wow.
The second group is around, or the second issue is around hypothyroidism. So this is when the thyroid gland has a significant contribution to whether we increase our weight, decrease our weight, or we stay balanced. And without going into the whole workings of the thyroid itself, basically, again, what it can do is influence what we call the HPA axis, so the hypothalamic pituitary axis. And this is one of those real delicate balances in the body. And it's, again, we're looking at the different hormones balancing each other and keeping us on a real nice level playing field. Now, if we don't have the right balance in the HPA axis and, we get hypothyroidism, then we can suffer weight gain.
Okay.
So again, this, when I was talking about people can actually start to put on weight,
Yes.
they're eating less, they're exercising more, and yet they're gaining weight, and sometimes kilos and pounds, and they can't believe where it's coming from. I'm only eating a few hundred calories a day, doing all this exercise, and yet I'm piling on the pounds. If you've got hypothyroidism or your HPA axis has gone out of whack, then you will start to gain weight, and you'll gain it quite quickly. You'll also suffer depression, and potentially you will start to suffer gut issues. So you'll see bloating, you'll get an uncomfortable tummy. And again, you would never believe that these things were coming from just simply doing a bit too much cardio exercise. The third one that's probably worth mentioning is cortisol. So we know cortisol as the stress hormone.
Yes.
It's basically released when we're in a stressful situation. We get cortisol released, and it's the thing that would allow us in the past, in our ancestry 100,000 years ago, we get a burst of cortisol and adrenaline, and that would help us run away from the tiger.
Absolutely.
So these were beneficial. Cortisol is also released when we wake up on a morning, so it's one of the things that triggers us to wake up. So what happens when we over-exercise or do too much cardio is that we get a burst of cholesterol. That affects things like our sleep. So it starts to throw our sleep cycle out, which is why people who exercise late at night sometimes can't sleep, even though they're real tired. Again, it will also affect the gut. It can affect your memory. So doing too much cardio can affect your memory. You start to have memory issues. And again, you get the weight gain. And this one especially, when you're getting cortisol pumped around the body, you will gain weight right around the middle. Wow. So it's not an overall weight gain, it's very much that,
midline.
that midline obesity, which we know as being one of the most dangerous types. It's white fat, and it's around the organs in the body, the vital organs, and it really is quite serious in terms of its potential health impacts. Wow. And again, yet another one, you can get depression as a result of that cortisol increase. So that is quite significant. And I think there's a fourth one that's worth mentioning, which is that doing too much cardio and doing too much volume too many times a week can actually lead to your immune system becoming suppressed. So again, all of a sudden what you find is that you're starting to pick up every bug that's going. You feel a bit low, you feel a bit run down. every bit of bacteria, every cold, every cough, every flu, you get it. And especially if you're a parent and you've got kids who are bringing home bugs from school and colds and flus, you're going to be constantly getting those, and you won't be able to shake them off. You won't get over them quickly. You'll find that it takes you a long time to get over, colds, flus, sniffles, bacteria, bugs, and that sort of thing.
And the interesting thing is all these symptoms all cause this spiralling effect if you are over-exercising, and if you're particularly doing too much cardio, and you're getting weight gain, and you're getting depression, and you're picking up bugs, and you're getting weight gain, and you're getting depression, it's almost this, each of those symptoms themselves starts to exacerbate the other symptoms. And if you're getting just little bits, it's going to be an incredibly dismal place to be. As your weight goes up, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're catching bugs, but your weight's going up. So you can see how people get into a really dark place trying to do the right thing by their body in exercising, simply because they're overdoing it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges is that it doesn't often happen. We've been a bit extreme, but it doesn't often happen overnight. It's a gradual process. You start off, like I said, you feel amazing, you feel happy, you're losing weight, your energy's gone up. And then gradually over time, that feeling is diminishing, and then you've tipped over the edge, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. And the more it gets worse, the more you're trying to improve and trying to exercise. You're dragging yourself to the gym, you're dragging yourself,
And a lot of people try and work out, exercise through it. You get that sort of the low feeling of, I'm not getting results, I'm putting on weight, I feel a bit depressed, I feel a bit, lack of motivation. Train harder.
Yeah, train harder,
through it,
because that'll give me the benefit. It'll give me the mood lift. It'll
so
help
there's
me
potential
lose
injuries,
weight.
and then it becomes this vicious cycle.
And then they can't sleep. Then they can't get up in the morning because they're so tired, and then they drag themselves to the gym again. And they have no clue where these symptoms are coming from, because they're seemingly unrelated to exercise. It's not about your muscles feeling sore.
No.
It's not about you've done your gym session and you feel kind of okay, and you go back and try and do it again the next day. So gradually you're getting to a point where it's all the other systems in the body that are breaking down, and they seem unrelated to exercise because they're not happening at the time you're exercising.
All right, so what's the solution, Dr. Lynn? We've We've looked at the risk groups. We've looked at what actually happens when one overtrains or does too much cardio in particular, and they're quite significant. So what's the way to step back from this and have a look and make sure that those people tuning in are thinking, okay, what do I need to do next to make sure I don't get into this overtraining category?
So I think the first thing is it's really about getting to know your body.
Yes.
And getting to know what the minimum amount of exercise and movement that you can do would be to get the results that you want. So we did an episode a couple of weeks ago, Mike, all about minimum effective dose.
Yes.
And this is about finding that real happy medium, that happy balance. So if you are starting a program, then, and you're feeling good and you've got some good benefits, then you want to increase the amount, the duration of the exercise, the frequency, do it gradually. So if you're doing 3 times a week, don't go to 6 times a week.
Yes.
Go from 3 days a week to 4 days. If you're doing 30 minutes, don't go to 60 minutes, go to 40. So just increase gradually and really be observant. Look for anything that is out of character. Look for the low mood, look for the emotional outburst, look for the signs of fatigue. You can't get up in the morning, you're not sleeping after exercise. Look out for all those things. And if you're starting to spot any of them or any patterns, then just pull back on your exercise. Or if you think you might have overtrained because you're not feeling good and you're actually getting a lot of these symptoms, especially the weight gain, then pull back. Do a bit less. So do less volume. If you're doing an hour, do half an hour.
Yes.
Do less frequency. So if you're doing 5 times a week, maybe drop to 3 or 4 times a week. Have a rest. If you are
a rest day, recovery day.
It might be a recovery day, or it might be a recovery week or 2 weeks. If you've got yourself seriously overtrained, you might need to back off for a couple of weeks.
To let your body reset.
Literally let your body reset. If you're not that overtrained, then yes, some rest days, some recovery days, be kind to yourself, get a massage, maybe go for a nice walk instead of a hard gym session, go for a swim.
So a bit of variety.
Bit of variety, and that's the last thing is mix it up, get some variety. Don't do the same high intensity or the same real hard, long cardio every single day. Do different types of things, mix it up for your body. And last one would be is that if you're only doing cardio, really think about how about doing a bit of strength training instead, because that is a completely different stressor and you're a lot less likely to get overtrained doing pure strength training than you are doing cardio. We see a lot of this is coming from people doing long, intense cardio workouts day in, day out. So really think about strength training. You're not going to bulk up. It is going to really help your metabolism. It is going to help your body. It's going to help your body composition, help you lose weight, and maybe a better alternative, especially for a lot of the women out there, especially the women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who might be suffering hormonal imbalances like the ones I talked about. Strength training may be your friend, cardio may be your enemy.
Interesting. So some great value there. And for those people tuning in, I think a lot of people would relate to a lot of the things you've discussed today. So some bite-sized chunks of wellness wisdom again. Thank you, Lynn. And join us again next time on The Peaks Life.